This is a very common question, which profile or a domain should I choose so I will get the maximum package in IT companies. And always there is a demand in the market for my profile. There are a lot of domains in the market having the good job opportunities, like for example the full stack development, or it can be the add-on development, or you can be as data scientist or automation domain or telecom domain. So a lot of opportunities are there in all these profiles. But out of this, there is one profile where the developers are really making a lot of money, and that is full stack development. And in this profile, lot of job opportunities present in India as well as the outside. So in this video, we are going to cover how to become a full stack developer and what is the stuffs that the company expect from a full stack developer engineer. This leads to our first question. Who is a full stack developer? Well, a full stack developer must have the end-to-end expertise of the complete process of application development. So kind of a one-man army the companies are looking for as a full stack developer. So as a full stack developer, you should have a good understanding of the front-end development. Like what are the tools that are used as a full front-end development? Along with that, you should have a good understanding of the backend development, like the tools and the framework that has been primarily used for the backend development. So front end as well as backend understanding is must for a full stack developer. Along with that, you should also know how to manage the databases. Like for example, it can be SQL database, it can be a NoSQL database. You should know how to manage the database and all the query operations in iSQL as well as the NoSQL. And then along with that, you should know few tools also, like code management tools, kind of a GitHub and all, along with that complete deployment process of the applications. So as you can see, just one person have the knowledge of end to end of all these technologies. So usually company used to hire the three people for it, like one for the front end development, then we have another person as a back end development, and then there is a DevOps person who should have a complete understanding of the deployment process and code management. But now the companies are hiring one person for all these stuffs. So they give huge package to one talented guy who have complete understanding of all this. But that's not all. One more process you should know, which has been used by almost 99% of the IT companies, and that is agile methodology. You should know how the agile process works for the software development lifecycle. Well, these technologies are good, but what about all the libraries or the framework we need to master as a full stack developer? So let's start this from the front end development. So as a front end developer, you should have a good understanding of the HTML as well as the CSS. So these are the building blocks of the web UI development, that is HTML as well as CSS, followed by the main stuffs of the UI, that is JavaScript. So JavaScript is the base of the UI development. And in the JavaScript, you should have a good understanding of the different libraries and the framework. So these are the popular library and the framework used in the JavaScript for the web UI development, like the jQuery as well as the React.js. And as a framework, you should have a good understanding of the AngularJS. So these are the stuffs you should know as a web UI developer. Also, you have heard this term in the job description of many companies, like we are looking for the mean stack developer, or we are looking for the MERN stack developer. What is that? Well, this is also one of the full stack development profile, where in the front end as well as the back end, we use the JavaScript. Like this is the MERN stack and this is the mean stack. In the mean stack, we use the front end for the AngularJS, followed by the back end as a Node.js, and then MongoDB for the database management. Similarly, if you change this AngularJS to React.js, this will become MERN stack. So these are the also two kind of a profile for the full stack development. The only change is we just change the UI framework. So first of all, in the mean stack, we are using AngularJS framework, and in the MERN stack, we are using the library, that is React.js library of JavaScript. Now let's see which library or framework is in demanding in market right now for the backend development. So for the backend development, primarily we use the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is the all-time favorite for the backend development. Mostly Java developers are using the Spring Boot framework for implementing the backend system, and it has a huge demand in the industry. Now let's say if you don't want to go for Java, you want to use JavaScript end-to-end, then as I told, you can use Node.js, and you've been hiring for a mean stack developer or a MERN stack developer, where as a backend you are using Node.js as well as for the front end, you are using Node.js libraries and the framework. But in the backend, most of the people are also working on the Spring Boot because companies are looking for the Spring Boot technologies for the backend development and JavaScript for the front end development. Now, let's say if you are working on the Python, then you can also use Django for the backend development. So these are the technologies that is primarily been used for the backend development. Similarly, for database management system, either you will be working on NoSQL or SQL. But there are many applications where companies use NoSQL as well as SQL at the same time in one applications. So for NoSQL, you need to work on MongoDB or Cassandra, or there are many more like HBase, Hadoop, then we have distributed cache like Redis, etc. So these are the NoSQL stuffs you should have a good understanding of and how to manage them. And for the SQL part, mostly MySQL has been used in most of the industry. So there are many applications, as I said, have both SQL as well as NoSQL. So these are the part of the database management system, and these are the tools or framework you should know as a part of the database management system for SQL and NoSQL. And now we have the code management and the deployment process. So for the code management part, everywhere almost 100% of the industry they are using GitHub. GitHub is very widely been used and it is very easy to understand that as well. And now we have the CI/CD pipeline. So the CI/CD pipeline, which is basically the end-to-end software development process and the deployment in the cloud. So you should have a good understanding of the CI/CD pipeline tool. Mostly in the industry, we use the Jenkins for the CI/CD pipeline, where we have all the process of the deployment of the complete application into the cloud. Now, once you have the good hands-on on all these tools and the framework, you are a full stack developer. But as you know, at last, for every company currently are working on the agile methodology. So agile process understanding is also must as a full stack developer. Like how to create the user stories, what is the sprints, 3 weeks, 2 weeks process. Similarly, what are the responsibility of Scrum Master, and everything are the part of the agile methodology.